Hi, my name's Roslyn Bunch, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about mental illness and the stigmas that come around with mental illness. Mental health stigmas can be divided into two divisions, I would say. The first one would be the social stigma of it, which is like the discrimination from others about mental illnesses towards people with mental illness, and the other would be self stigmas, which would be how a person feels about their mental illness or mental illnesses in general and kind of viewing it in a negative way. Some examples of being or dealing with mental illness stigma would be treating someone different just because I found out my friend takes medicine for depression or anxiety or something, and just treating them differently. That's more of a social stigma, in my opinion. Some more examples would be if, say, there was a person who tried to commit suicide, saying, "Oh, they're just doing it for the attention," and not really knowing the right medical terminology to use towards or talking to someone with mental illness. That's really comes along with this stigma as well. For example, I found this website and it talks about different examples of real people who have gone through social stigmas and mental health stigmas, and one of them says that a lady was at work one day and her boss went through her purse and found her medications, and he had told everyone at her job, and everyone started treating her poorly until she couldn't take it no more and she quit. That is a very good example of a mental health stigma and someone being discriminated because of their mental health. The potential effects on a person and their families. A person can feel very alone and very being treated very different and not wanting to talk to anyone, which can affect their life tremendously. Their families might not know what to do if their loved one has a mental illness because of the lack of knowledge, which is very important to have especially when a loved one or someone you know or your friend has a mental illness. It's very important to become knowledgeable on it and not just judge on what you know or what society tells you about that mental illness. Being treated differently can definitely affect somebody with school, because a person is very worried about how they're going to be treated, or is everybody going to know, is people going to find out, instead of worrying about school and studying and things like that, and which leads to a decline in your grades and just having friends and things like that, and it can very well affect a person mentally as well, and might even worsen the mental illness. It might worsen their depression or anxiety or different things, and that leads to finding jobs, getting a job, not doing well in school. It just leads into a decline in their life, which can be very much prevented. I see mental stigma effects and laws to increase in the future, such as right now I feel like mental health stigma really isn't talked about in laws. Yes, I feel like there's laws set in place to not discriminate against someone because of what race they are, what ethnicity, what culture. Also, I feel like there is law set in place, but as well, it's not really talked about as much as race. Because someone has a mental illness, they shouldn't be discriminated as well in any situation. I feel like that the laws set in place now dealing with mental health facilities are very, very well. I feel like those laws, even if they're not followed, there is some rules and stuff that they have to, and standards they have to meet, and I think that is very important in not to treat social stigmas any different. I felt like one of our very first TED Talks that we listened to and our very first discussion was very, very important. And she really talked about, she was really knowledgeable in what mental illness was and how common it actually is. The fact that she talked about, or 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 people have mental illness or are affected by mental illness, it was really important to hear. It makes people not feel so alone and feel different and feel like they couldn't talk to anybody about it, because it really is very common. And the fact that she talked about the effects that we will have if we continue to not talk about mental illness was very important to hear as well. And I also feel like the ways to eliminate mental health stigma, as long as what she talked about, I feel like knowledge and being knowledgeable about mental health illness is very important, and one of the main ways that we will be able to eliminate these stigmas that follow mental health illnesses, and that would tremendously help people with these problems that they have and things such as that. And I just want to one day be able to know more and be able to help more with these stigmas to be completely gone. And thank you for listening.